Hi dudes, Climax 4 explain here. Before we launch, subscribe now because spoilers ahead. Today I will demonstrate to you a 2019 American natural horror survival film called Capsized, Blood in the Water. The movie starts in the ocean. A life raft lays upturned with 5 people clasping on to the side. Beneath the water, sharks swim by their thrashing legs. 2 days before, in 1982, Brad reaches at the harbor in Maryland and meets the yacht owner, John, who is contending with another guy on his yacht named Mark. Brad spoke on the phone to John before. John asks if he has any experience on the route or on this size yacht. He has neither, and John begins to be quite contentious towards him until they are interrupted by John's girlfriend Meg. She convinces him that everything will be okay, and so he comes on board. A woman called Deb introduces herself to him, and promptly after they all set sail together. At dinner, Mark tries to persuade John to head for Beaufort so that he can pick up a girl named Tilly. John declines because this is a familiar story for him. Mark is angry and takes it out on Brad. John tells Brad that he requires to stand up to Mark or he'll behave that way the whole trip. Later, Brad is on deck alone when he glimpses the signs of an oncoming storm. The Coast Guard is aware and is maintaining an eye on its progress. Mark is drunk below deck and John asks him for some piece of appliance that he had last. He doesn't know where it is, but John tells him that he needs to be in good form as there is a hurricane coming. After a brief conversation, John acknowledges that he is too drunk and tells him just to wait below deck and listen to the radio. In the Coast Guard's office, they understand that there are actually 2 storms converging, and so they put out a notification on the radio. During this time, Mark is asleep and misses the warning. Soon after, they are sailing through the storms and Mark wakes and comes up on deck to support. John goes to radio for help, and when he returns he sends Brad down to help Meg secure the cabin. The oven door drops down and cuts Meg's leg painfully. John is called to see her and he starts to administer first aid. Brad proceeds to call for help on the radio. As they receive a reply from the Coast Guard, John and Brad swap places and John speaks with the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard says him that some commercial shipping vessels will be ratifying within 3 hours, so they should hold their position. Back up on deck, John contends with Deb about the best course of action, but he overrides her and sends her and Mark below deck. John spots a huge wave that crashes on top of his yacht, resulting in it to capsize. The occupants are outside swimming in the open sea. They see the life raft and swim towards it. They all clench to the side for dear life. John tries to comfort them that the Coast Guard is on the way. The Coast Guard is trying to radio the yacht, but there's no acknowledgement. 6 hours later and they are all still clasping on to the side of the life raft. Meg's leg is bleeding badly into the water. John swims round to join her and Brad indicates that Meg go in the boat, but John says him that the air is colder than the water, so it's better that she stays put. Mark suddenly starts accusing Deb of kicking him, which she denies, but unexpectedly everyone becomes aware that there is something beneath the surface. Meg takes a look and sees sharks. They all effort to get in the boat, but in their haste all they manage to do is overturn it. Mark manages to get on top and they all yell at him to get off so that they can flip it. He refuses, so they drag him in and ultimately manage to flip it. Everyone attempts to get in the boat. A shark fin moves through the water as Brad is hauled in last. The shark begins to ram the boat, and so John puts his leg in the water to try to kick it. There is a pause and they believe as to whether it has gone, but then it hits the boat again and John falls in. They manage to pull him back in and John says everyone to stay quiet as they are persuaded to the noise and the movement. Ultimately everyone calms and everything seems okay until the shark hits the boat again. The Coast Guard is out glancing for any unaccounted for boats from the storm. The guys have been adrift for 14 hours now and the sharks are still spiraling. John tries to keep their spirits up by figuring where they are and saying them that with the current drift, they should hit land within another 20 hours. They have now been adrift for 31 hours. John ties his belt around Meg's leg to stop the spread of infection, but Mark disagrees with this course of action. John keeps saying him to shut up and attempts to reassure Meg that she'll be okay. He tightens the belt as she cries out, attracting the sharks. They commence to hit the boat. John is brought down and Meg removes the belt. Mark throws it away and John starts to attack him, holding his head underwater. The shark strategies and Brad manages to pull him away at the last minute. Mark accuses him of being insane and then says that Meg is going to die anyway, so they shouldn't chance their lives for her. He blames John for the whole circumstance. They continue to drift overnight. John talks to Meg to keep her reassured and awake. The following morning, they are all asleep but John wakes up to the sound of gulls. He sees land and jumps in the sea to swim to it. Unexpectedly he can hear the others calling him to come back. He tells them that he is going to the island, but as he turns back, it occurs that he was hallucinating. He swims back but the splashing has attracted a shark which maintains him. They reach out and he takes their hands, but at the final moment, the shark grabs him and drags him under the water. A pool of blood occurs in the ocean and everyone sits dumbstruck in the boat. They have now been adrift for 59 hours. Deb looks around and can't see the sharks any additional. She thinks that they have gone. Mark puts his hands over the side to put water over his head. The others attend and Mark even drinks some. The others keep telling him not to, but he proceeds anyway. Eventually Brad has to pull him back. In the darkness, Mark starts to scream out loud, getting everyone up. They ask him to stop but he proceeds. After 81 hours adrift, Mark occurs to be going crazy. He stands up and asks them if they can see the sharks. He tells them that they can't see it but he can, and starts leaping up and down. A shark comes and hits the side of the boat. Mark proceeds to jump and Brad has to hold him down. Mark seems to calm down and just lays on the edge of the boat trickling around. Suddenly a shark swoops past and pulls him into the water. He attempts to get back in the boat but it drags him beneath. The others can feel him underneath the boat and blood disperses into the water from below it as the shark assassinates him. So lengthy, Mark? As night falls, the group is still adrift. Meg tells the others that her leg doesn't damage anymore. She tells them that John didn't mean for any of this. He was a lovely guy. He just wanted them to get joined and have kids. She didn't know that their time together would be so short. She says that she has so much left that she wanted to do. Brad reassures her that they will be found. He pledges. The sun grows and Brad still has his arm around Meg. She died during the night. Deb tells him that there is non-entity that he could have done. They slowly release her body into the sea and she drops down. A shark slowly directions and drags her away. The Coast Guard receives a call that the area has been wrapped and there is no sign of John's yacht. He says to notify the families. They have now been adrift for 109 hours. Brad seems to be getting unhappy. Deb tells him that they need to get the dirty water out of the boat. She wants them to flip it and then shortly get back in. Brad is still worried about the sharks, but Deb has been watching and hasn't seen any. She insists and they slowly get into the water and flip the boat. Brad is in an air pocket underneath the boat and Deb joins him. She tries to make him scramble as the blood from the boat is now in the water and will attract the sharks. Brad won't walk and Deb begs him to support. She gets him back outside the boat and after a few attempts, they manage to flip it back. Deb scrambles back inside as Brad hangs on the side. Deb can see a shark moving toward, but Brad slips beneath the surface. As it moves toward, he unexpectedly regains his senses and punches the shark on the nose. With Deb's help he is able to climb back into the boat. That night while Deb sleeps, Brad looks up at the stars. The next day, after 131 hours adrift, Brad can hear a noise and he sees a ship approaching. He and Deb wave to it but they can't be seen. They jump into the sea and are ultimately noticed by the crew. The captain orders the ship to be stopped as the crew toss a life ring in. Brad swims towards it, notifying Deb to follow, but she says that she can't. He reaches the life ring and looks back towards her. Unexpectedly he sees a shark direction and starts swimming back to her. He says her to hold on but she slips beneath the surface. The shark is near but Brad organizes to get her and drags her toward the ship. The shark turns away and eventually they are saved. As the movie ends we learn that the ship was a Soviet tanker. Brad and Deb spent 8 days in hospital suffering from severe dehydration and starvation. After a victorious career as an author and speaker, Deb died in 2012. Brad is still alive today after fighting for years with the trauma. He now captains boats along the exact route that they carried that day. And that's it. Like and subscribe may easy for you, but for us it's extremely valuable. So thank you so much for your support.